Okay, we're going to start the Maamar for next week already. Behar, page 7, Likkutei Torah, Parshas Behar, page 78, bottom of the page. Okay, the pasuk starts, Ki savar eretz asher ani nesen lachem, when you will come to the land that I'm giving you, v'shav sar Shabbos Hashem. The earth should have a sabbatical. Then it says sheish shanim tav, 6 years it should plant. So now that I was going to ask a very simple question all the commentaries ask. Pasuk says like this: you'll come to the land, you'll have Shemitah. Then it says, then you'll have 6 years. First you have 6 years, then you have the Shemitah. The implication is this, it's like a Jew. As soon as they start a job, they want vacation. It sounds Jewish. Anyway, so he says, Mashmor sakosov kimiyat kisavay ala oretz. As soon as you come into the land, you'll already have Shemitah before you even start the 6 years. It doesn't make sense.
We didn't have Shabbos before we had the week, right?
Right. So that's what he's asking basically. First you have 6 years and then Yovim behegdem. So understand behegdem pira kosev pischel yachei sirayossi. The pasuk says, Shlomo Melech says, open up, my sister, my friend, Pirush. This is what the Medrash says. Hashem says to the Yidden, Pischuli, open up to me, that you should be called my sister, my friend. In other words, Hashem says, Pischuli, you have to start, open up to me, then you'll become my sister, my friend. Hagam the Knesset Yisrael nikret tamid b'shem zeh. Even though the Yidden are always called this name Achei Sirayossi, Mikon came Bechina Zu Pamim Shi Bezgalus. Sometimes this level of Achei Sirayossi is revealed, Upamim Shi Mechusum Ustares, and sometimes it's concealed. The pasuk says, "Open up," that we should have this level of Achei Sirayossi, my sister, my friend. Now, if the pasuk says "open up," that means it's not always open. So he says it's always there, but sometimes it's open, sometimes it's closed. Meaning sometimes it's revealed, sometimes it's concealed. Because what does open up mean? There's a door that's blocking the view, or open the window. Yeah, it's blocking the view. So what do you say? Open it up. So he says, remove, what Hashem says to the Jews, remove that blockage that blocks from Achei Sirayossi, that it should be revealed. It says in order to understand this level, that it should be revealed. What is the blockage? If it says open up the door, that means there's a blockage. So he said we need to understand what this level is. Achei Sirayossi. And then he said we need to understand what the blockage is, and we need to understand how you open up the blockage. You know, how do you unblock it? So he says, what does it mean? Achaisi, besides meaning my sister, also comes the word Ichui Alexandrius. Sheba Gemara, the Gemara talks about, there's a certain, they used to have it years ago, there's a certain weaving that connect when something was ripped. There would be experts in weaving it together in a way you couldn't tell there was a cut there. And it's called Ichui Alexandrius because it came from Alexandria, Egypt. It binds two things together, to be one. It should be mamish one. So achaisi, besides meaning sister, it means to become one. Right? The weaving, sewing, you could still tell there's two separate things. This weaving, Ichui Alexandria, is such a great weaving, you couldn't tell there was, he says, the natural instinctive love that every neshama has, from the place it was carved out of, which is they're united with the ultimate unity. But it's a Baruch Hu Mamish, right? So Neshama Lamaila is Mamish one with Hashem. Therefore, even when the Neshama comes down from Matzilis, then it goes into Bria, Tzir, and Asiyah. Liyash v'yodu mata mata slabish v'guf. V'nefesh hachiyunis, it remains the same way. In other words, the neshama, which is up there unblocked, so to speak, because it's mamish one with Hashem, and zuhi mitzad midas hatzadikim, mitzad nefesh u'lekis asher b'kibim, because of the nefesh u'lekis within them. Cheshkem u'tshukosem, what is their desire and will? Lizkol u'b'er avai, to become one with Hashem. U'libotel b'metzias elu. To become bottled with him, completely bottled Hashem b'chleis and nefesh mamish munka delim. What is the aved of the tzaddikim? Tzaddikim don't have enough shabbams. Their whole life's avodah is to become mamish one with Hashem openly in a constant, continuous level. V'chol yameim tamehem b'bitul anal. That's why they're called merkava. They're completely bottled 24/7. Machmas tava nafshes, because this became already the nature of their soul. Shenasalem tava, it becomes their nature. They don't even need to meditate to awaken this level of love. You know, there's a level of tzaddikim. Their love to Hashem is constant, continuous. This is their nature. They don't even need something to wake it up. You know, it's just there. They worked with themselves to such an extent that they killed the Yetzer Hara, and the only thing they want is Kedusha, connection with Hashem. Like it says, like it says, remember Yitzuya, like it's when you wake up. Now what should we be connected to Hashem? You're in your house, you're walking, sleeping, standing, whatever it is, you're constantly bottled to Hashem. It's like the marshal. Why is it called sister? Because the love of a brother and sister, it's supposed to be. The relationship of siblings, not in today's world, but in the relationship of siblings, is that you don't need meditation to love each other. It's just instinctive, natural. This is what it's all about. And that's the real level of ava. In other words, we know that the definition of emes is when it's eternal. If it's sometimes there and sometimes not there, it's not emes. Emes lamite means it's always there. The love between brother and sister is always there, and you don't need anything to awaken it. So therefore it's emes. It's real. But if it's that love is not ingrained within the person. Only when he wakes it up. And then it's not called emes. Like that's what the Rabbi says in Tanya. When he davens, the Nefesh Shabbat goes to sleep. He finishes davening, it wakes up again. So therefore, without Rebbe, it's not emes lamite.
I heard a word that's why Abraham said Sarah was his sister, because the Ahava between brother and sister is such a high level that Hashem would have helped him at that time.
In Shir HaShirim, which is basically the love relationship between Hashem and the Jews, you have, it says, Basi Lagani Achei Sikala, okay? You have Batar Ilim B'Yem Chasinusei, Batar with the crown that his mother gave him. Then you have a Pasuk Biti. So in Shir HaShirim, he speaks about the relationship between Hashem and the Jews. Hashem's our mother, our sister, and our daughter. Now, what does that mean? And wife. Right? The whole love is the husband and wife. Now, why does... So there's four levels of the relationship between Hashem and the Jew. Each one is unique that the other ones don't have. There's a relationship between a mother and a child differently than a husband and wife, different than a sister and brother, and different than a daughter. There's different relationships. What Shlomo Melech is saying, basically, the relationship between the Hashem and the Jew is the advantage of each, all four put together.
Which one is brought down for Achoti? Achoti is brought down.
What?
Which one is written first? Achoti, right?
I don't know. I didn't ask the guys. You guys say Shusterman every week. Don't look at me. I told you, don't ask me Nevi'im Eksuvim.
Well, you know everything.
You're right. Nein, in the Kodesh Emish Mam, it comes from Mamshenkin Svas Emes. Svas Emes means it's the language of truth. What is Svas Emes? Safa means outside. Misafa v'lechutz. It's not internalized. It's external. Shu'im Rosh Safa v'abeged. Safa lefiv by the Big Day Kahuna. Safa lefiv is the the rim outside the garment. What do you call that? No, guys are in the shmata business. The sewing on the outside of the garment.
Seam.
The seam, not huh?
Yeah, the seam.
It's not the seam. The seam. The trim. No. It's outside of the baguette. It's not the baguette. Therefore, this love that comes only through awakening is Sfas Emes. By the way, there's another relationship. We're called Achesi Rayosi, friends. Friends have also a unique relationship that mother and child, the sister, brother. So these are, Shlomo Melech talks about them because each one has an advantage over the next. And between us and Hashem, you have all of them. And you can't say which one's greatest because each one has an advantage the other one doesn't have. Emes is only the beginning of Emes. But this external love that needs to be awakened is not real Emes, because if it's Emes, it's eternal, it's constant. It doesn't it doesn't say it's existing forever. And it says, Hashem is close to all that call him. Who's Hashem close to? In fact, there's a whole Maamar. Friedrich Rabbi has a Maamar. The pasuk contradicts itself from beginning 10. The pasuk says, Karev Hashem l'chol karev. Hashem is close to all that call him. And then it says, l'chol asher yikru b'emes. Only that call him truthfully. So the first half of the pasuk says he's close to everybody who calls him. And then he makes a condition. The second half, only the one that wants to emes. He says, because the fact that you have to awaken this love, it doesn't become your essential nature. Okay, anything that you have to awaken is not emes. Which question?
The contradiction between
No, he doesn't talk about it. He's free to get his mind. Because came the crowd the shame Sfas Emes. Me'acha shall kopanim mishazu. Me'ered so avim and could sleep. It's called. So why is it called Sfas Emes? He's saying they're not real Emes Lamita. He's called Sfas Emes. He says because kol chad lefum shur delay. Because every person on their own level, like he says, by the Beinani, is basically saying what he says in Tanya. V'gam acher atfil nisher l'shimei shebeziches Hashem es'er ruach nediva b'kibbeh me'elav lavas Hashem. In other words, he says like this. So why is it a shtickle emes, a little bit emes? Because the davening meditation that you did allows it to be awakened easier than if you didn't meditate in davening. So the fact, as the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, the fact that the Beinani could awaken it at any time, potentially it's emes.
at that moment.
It's not emes lamita, but the fact that I could do it whenever I want is a certain level of emes.
Oh, if you were rushing to do prayers, you don't have time to meditate during prayers.
That's why you're supposed to come, like if the minyan 6 o'clock, you come at 5, you learn Chassidus, you meditate.
Prior to.
Yeah.
What's the answer?
Look in the Maamar, it's in Kuntreisen, Chelik Aleph. Korav Hashem b'chol korav. It's a very easy Maamar. Okay, okay, where's the brackets end here? Okay, go down like 10 lines. He says, so now the question is, what is stopping it from coming into becoming the essence? If meditation arouses it, meditation arouses it, why can't it be constant? I says like this, because this Ava to Hashem dresses itself and conceals itself in the koyach hamisava ledvarim gashmi minefesh hachiyunis. Because bottom line is, when you love worldly things, it contradicts godliness. Bottom line. So why isn't this Ava real within the Jew? Because bottom line is, we enjoy gashmistic things. We're into gashmis.
Hashem created Gashmis to be enjoyed.
No, not true. He created gashmis to be elevated.
Elevated.
So if like it says in Sfarim, why did Hashem make the lust for food so powerful? The answer is because if a person wouldn't want to eat food, why would he bother eating food to elevate it? Hashem needs the food elevated. It can only become elevated when we eat it. So how does Hashem get us to eat it?
Yeah, it's so expensive.
To sustain ourselves too.
I understand. But then a person will eat much more minimal. Do you know that medically every person eats way above what they're supposed to be eating every day? Right? That's where in America there's something called obesity. Everybody's obese.
Now Mexico's part.
Okay, whatever. So, but there's a pasuk, it's in Tillim, we say it Friday afternoon in Haydun Paschalio. Reivim gam tzmeim, nafshem behem tesatav. They're hungry, they're thirsty. Reivim gam tzmeim, nafshem, their soul is cloaked in them. So Chassidus explains what does David HaMelech mean. Why is a person hungry and thirsty? Because the nefesh wants to elevate that food. So how does the nefesh get you to eat this food? So in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe explains, if you eat the food for the wrong reasons, you lower it into Sholosh Kibbutz HaTameis. And then even when you do tshuva, you can bring it back up, you still need Kafa Kel and Chibir HaKever.
You can't think every time you eat something you have pulled on.
Speak for yourself.
Huh?
Speak for yourself.
No, you say bracha, you eat it, whatever. You can't every time you think.
Why can't you speak for yourself? You can't. Everybody else here does. They all eat the Shem Shemayim only.
Why ice cream on the way, man?
What's ice cream? Well,
That's not. Every time that you do something, or you, I don't know, you can't eat bracha, whatever.
no, you elevate it.
I know you're elevating it, you say bracha, whatever, but you're not every second thinking, oh, I'm not elevating this. I'm like,
Speak for yourself, I told you.
Now I don't mind them, he's talking in his sleep.
Oh. It says, okay. Ki avas do mulu bashi muster bekercha misavel is varm gafshim. Minefesh hachiyunas in the animal soul. Sheshor shebechinas gasus aroch, that the source of it comes from evil haughtiness. Mishcha the chivya serpent's skin. Hachef efu mastal kerchum bechin avazu. He says, you want to know, meditation awakens it. But why isn't it always constant? Because you're involved in the Gashmis. You love Gashmis, you can't love Ruchnias. That's it, bottom line. It contradicts each other. So sometimes you get serious, you start to meditating, awakening this love, so then you awaken the love to Hashem. Why? Because at that moment, the taiva to worldly things is less. Same thing. Why did Hashem make the taiva so strong? Because otherwise people wouldn't have kids. And then in this taiva, you know how much taiva you have, there's billions of levels. My Lord said, you have to get rid of this thin garment of gasus ruach, like the Gemara said, the Gemara says in Seita, Hashem says, me and a haughty person cannot coexist. Because if you're so full of yourself, there's no room for Hashem.
Gas ruach is more crass.
No. Crass is not gas. Gas ruach means haughtiness. Yeah. Therefore, you have to take off the cover. Right? Pischali, Hashem says, open up this natural, instinctive love that every Jew has, but it's covered because we're into Gashmias. So Hashem says, take off commercial. If you want to open up a hole in the wall, you have to break the wall until it becomes an empty space. An empty space doesn't just come by itself. You want an empty space, what you got to do is actually break down the wall. The same thing, this person wants to have this love established within him, all the way in. From the depth of the soul with kleisa nefesh. To have this broken heart, which is the master key, like we learned, that opens up all the doors. To be moved and get rid of this type of gashmistic things. You should only want Hashem. By the way, it's interesting, even scientists, the great inventors, most of them were not into Gashmias. They lived like poor people because for them, the Gashmias didn't mean anything. They were in a much higher, deeper level. Forget Yiddishkeit for a second. But they were intellectual rather than behemoth, animalistic desires. So in how much more so when you talk about godliness, it has to be like this.
But they get satisfaction when they understand something.
Yeah, but the Friedrich Rebbe says in the Maamar, it's called the Mandas, he discusses the various different levels of temptations. There's eating and sleeping. Above that is music. Pleasures, what did I say? Said pleasure. There's pleasure of eating and sleeping. There's pleasures of music. There's pleasures of doing somebody a favor. There's intellectual pleasure. And then there's the highest level is godly pleasure. Because intellectual pleasure, then you're a yesh, then you can't be bottled. Godly pleasure means, like you're saying here, I just want to be close to Hashem.
Intellectual pleasure is the highest.
And let's paraphrase the statement. When people keep talking about the food they ate and when they're going, you walk into an elevator, so they're talking about food. Then you have intellectuals, when they're talking intellectual stuff. Now, which conversation is greater? I mean, you don't have to be a rocket science to know this is a low life and this is a refined people. Even doing somebody a chesed, you do somebody a favor, you feel good. That's a much greater level than than eating and sleeping.
But then you have people that are very biased. As a nature, he's pursuit of science was essentially to elevate God, to show people that they can't be always.
Very good. What does that have to do with this?
I think that's really the highest, that you're using actually.
No, the highest level is to, no, the highest
enjoyment.
enjoyment is lachzeis b'noyam Hashem ulevaker beicholi, to have the sweetness of being attached to Hashem, feeling godliness. That's the ultimate.
Yeah.
By him it was intellectual to do it. Intellectual is automatically limited.
Yes.
Okay. But when your thing is to connect to your neshama, to connect to Hashem, that's infinite.
But if
Well,
one,
you don't feel it.
what I was trying
Who doesn't feel? The neshama feels.
The Shama feels.
Who are you? Your nose. You can get a nose job and that's it. Well, who are you?
I'm Abraham Moradia.
Could have fooled me. No, really. Who is the you?
Rabbi, if you
What
want
was the Shama?
No. When the famous story that Samachser was a little boy sitting on the Alter Rebbe's lap, and he touched the Alter Rebbe's nose, he said, Zayda, you know Zayda. He said, no, that's the Zayda's nose. He touched every part, the Alter Rebbe said, it's not the Zayda. So he went to the back of the room, the kid, and meanwhile the Alter Rebbe was looking down, learning or whatever, and a few minutes later, the kid screamed out, Zayda, and the Alter Rebbe looked up and said, yeah. He said, that's the Zayda. Now who's that? Who is that?
in that case, it's tangible, you see, you can go and touch it.
I understand. But I'm saying the person is, who is the person?
The Shama.
No.
But it's also the group too, I mean, the body.
After 120 years, yeah, they put you in a box. Yes? Now what is left of you that begins decomposing in the ground?
His will.
Huh?
His will.
Even that is finished fighting over.
So why do we say the actual body is actually more important?
The body is more important. Because the purpose is to elevate the body, to refine the body, not to get the body indulged in Gashmias. That's what it is. So of course, the neshama without the body can't function.
If one utilizes his intellectual capacity and his inquisitiveness to discover godliness, I think it's the highest.
What's higher, Nasa or Nishma?
NASA.
But according to you, Nishma is.
No, to discover. If one.
Anyway, no. After intellect, there's inanimate plant, animal, human, or in Beverly Hills, inanimate plant, human, animal.
Cars.
Yeah, that's along the way, somewhere in the middle. Okay? Then what's above? Where does everything goes up? Where does the humans go? Okay, up to dogs. And then where do dogs go? To godliness. So, but that's above human intellect. Okay, let's just finish this. Okay, we're not going to finish this. Okay.
Wow.
God,